Today's not any easier than yesterday was. All the victims' families have been notified.
Heartache, anger, and a united search for answers.
Mr. Speaker, can you tell us when the House may muster the courage to take up the issue of gun violence?
We have laws on the books. We have a system to prevent people who aren't supposed to get guns from getting guns.
What will it take to stop another mass shooting?
Kids who are out there, parents, you've got to monitor this stuff. And if you see it, take everything seriously.
But this time, there were warnings.
This comment said, I'm going to be a professional school shooter, and I knew that I couldn't just ignore that.
Tonight, new questions. How much did the FBI know before 17 innocent lives were lost?
A soccer player, a geography teacher, a swim team recruit, a straight-A student, and a beloved football coach.
Those are just 5 of the 17 innocent victims ruthlessly murdered during Wednesday's school massacre in Florida. Take a look at this enormous crowd tonight. This is Parkland, Florida, where thousands gathered tonight to honor the lives that were taken. The vigil started late this afternoon and is still going strong.
Meanwhile, just a short distance away, an active crime scene outside Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. That's where the tragedy took place. Police say 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz fired into 5 classrooms before dropping his rifle and blending in with terrified students.
Well, tonight we're learning more about the accused killer, who has now confessed to the mass shooting. Police describe him as a loner who worked at a dollar store, joined the ROTC program, and posted photos of weapons on Instagram. The 19-year-old was also an orphan whose adoptive mother died last fall. And now police are disputing claims that Cruz was affiliated with a white supremacist group, saying there are no known ties between the teen and a group known as the Republic of Florida. Nicholas Cruz cowered during his 3-minute court appearance today, speaking only once to confirm his name. The judge ordered him held without bond for the premeditated murders of 17 people. Police tell us Cruz has confessed. His public defender says he is sorry.
He's a broken human being. He's a broken child. The sadness that this community is feeling, I mean, my children are, they go to school in this community. I feel horrible for these families, and Mr. Cruz feels that pain.
Whatever pain Cruz feels didn't stop him from pausing for refreshments after his bloody rampage. In the hour before police arrested him, wearing the same clothing, they say Cruz sneaked off campus among other fleeing students and then bought a drink at a Subway restaurant inside a Walmart nearby and also went to McDonald's. The sheriff now tells us the carnage began in the sprawling high school's Building 12.
The suspect readied his rifle and began shooting into rooms 1215, 1216, 1214. He went back to 1216, back to 1215, and then to 1213. The suspect then took the west stairwell to the 2nd floor and shot 1 victim.
The Associated Press reports Cruz bought the rifle legally at Sunrise Tactical Supply in Florida. He confessed to having extra ammunition in his backpack. Now, sadly, some students say they're not surprised, pointing to photos Cruz posted to Instagram, threatening his peers, talking about killing animals, posing with guns, and bragging about target practice. The senseless violence has prompted the predictable political responses on Capitol Hill, with Democrats calling for common sense gun control and Republicans focusing on the mental health issue.
Children are dying in our schools, in our communities, on our streets. All this Congress has to say is, let's have a moment of silence.
One thing we know is if there are early indications for mental illness, I think we probably have to do a better job of trying to make sure that people don't get slipped through the cracks.
This week, we saw the worst in humanity. Tomorrow, we are going to see the best in humanity. We're going to see what defines Parkland. It's not this tragedy, it's going to be how we come together to recover from this tragedy.
A powerful message after such a devastating act of evil. Tonight, the entire nation stands alongside Parkland to honor the innocent lives lost.
17 killed, more than a dozen others injured. The South Florida city continues to pray and send support to the many victims. Fox 5's Tom Haynes is live in Parkland. Tom, what an emotional day there.
Well, we arrived in Parkland, Russ and Sine, early this morning, and the sense of grief and sorrow is palpable. It's extraordinary, and there's still a sense of disbelief about what happened in Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School behind me. 17 innocent people slaughtered, nearly more than a dozen injured in the shooting that happened now nearly 2 days ago. So now this community, this tight-knit community, is starting to come together, and we saw evidence of that all day today, whether it was a prayer vigil this morning or a candlelight vigil that happened later this evening.
She was supposed to be safe. My job is to protect my children.
One night after the massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, a grieving community comes together to try to begin to heal.
We came to the vigil to pay our respects, obviously, because we're all hurting very badly. In these times we forget that we are a community, and so this brings us together.
Parkland, Florida, where the shooting happened, is a close-knit community, and last year was voted the safest in the state. The people who live here now finding all of it difficult to reconcile.
I don't know, it's very confusing, you know. It's all emotions, really, confusion, scared, you know, mad, upset, all that comes into play.
We don't even believe that this is a thing that could happen. I don't think that we figured at this point that at any moment we could be attacked.
Those are lighted balloons off in the distant sky that were just released by students and parents and community members here in Parkland, Florida. The grieving process is going to take a long time, but folks who I spoke to at this vigil tonight say this is a good starting place for that to begin. Prayers and togetherness are what's needed now, making services like this one so important.
Just to see everyone come out together, pray together, and just be unified as one. Multiple schools also. It's a blessing to see it.
But human nature is real, and so fear of sending children back to class in the wake of the nation's third worst school massacre is pervasive among both parents and students.
We passed by this school when it just started, and I told my son, you could be one of them.
Are you afraid to go into a school building now? Does it? Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
And so Parkland is such a tight-knit community that it's no wonder that many of these students knew Nikolas Cruz, and they weren't surprised to hear that police now suspect him of carrying out these murders. And so Marjory Douglas High School behind me is an active crime scene. You can see the Broward County Sheriff's Office cruisers behind me. They've been going by literally all day long. The cars that are still parked in the parking lot at the high school there are the cars that were there the day of the shooting. In other words, faculty and students haven't been able to get them out. Book bags are still everywhere. Remember, sadly, they just removed the victims' bodies out of that school not 12 hours ago. So this is an ongoing investigation here in Parkland while this community tries to come to grips with what happened to it and overcome the devastation that happened at their own high school. Back to you.
All right, so much devastation, Tom.